Let's talk about something that almost never makes it into the glossy: working in Japan, content you find online. The reality that not every Japanese worker is the dedicated, overtime-embracing, company-loyal professional that the international reputation of Japanese work culture suggests. If you have been planning to work in Japan with a mental image of a workplace full of intensely focused, highly productive colleagues who are genuinely passionate about their jobs, this video is going to give you a more accurate and honestly more useful picture of what you are likely to actually find. The idea that Japanese workers are universally hardworking is a generalization that has been repeated so many times it has become accepted as fact. And like most generalizations, it contains some truth, but misses a lot of reality. Japan does have a genuine culture of dedication, particularly in certain industries and among certain generations of workers. But inside actual Japanese workplaces, especially larger companies with established seniority systems, the picture is considerably more complicated and considerably more human than the stereotype suggests. One of the most consistent things that comes up in conversations with Japanese ESL students who work in traditional Japanese companies is the existence of senior employees who have essentially stopped doing significant work. These are people who have been with the company long enough that their position is protected by seniority. The Japanese workplace system has historically made it very difficult and socially uncomfortable to fire or demote long-term employees, regardless of their current contribution level. So what you end up with, in many larger companies, is a layer of senior staff who show up, occupy their desks, attend meetings, and maintain the appearance of working while actually contributing very little to the daily output of the team. Junior and mid-level employees often know this and say nothing, because pointing it out would be a direct challenge to the seniority hierarchy that governs social order in the workplace, and challenging hierarchy in a Japanese professional setting carries serious social consequences that most employees are not willing to risk. This creates a specific dynamic that foreign workers find deeply confusing when they first encounter it. You arrive expecting meritocracy, the idea that good work gets recognized and rewarded regardless of how long you have been with the company. What you find instead is a system where tenure and age carry significantly more weight than output or innovation in many traditional Japanese organizations. A senior employee who arrives late, takes long lunches, spends time on personal activities during work hours, and leaves early, but who has been with the company for 25 years, often holds more institutional authority and job security than a younger, highly productive employee who has been there for 3. For someone coming from a culture where performance is the primary currency of professional advancement, this is genuinely disorienting. The staying late phenomenon is another piece of this picture that deserves honest examination. One of the most widely cited features of Japanese work culture is the long working hours, employees staying in the office well past the official end of the working day, sometimes until very late at night. From the outside, this looks like dedication and hard work. From the inside, for many Japanese workers, it is something different. A significant number of Japanese employees do not stay late because they have work that genuinely requires those hours. They stay late because leaving before their manager leaves is considered socially inappropriate, a signal that you are not committed enough, not serious enough, not willing to subordinate your personal time to the needs of the company. So, everyone waits. The manager waits for the department head. The junior staff wait for the manager. Nobody wants to be the first person to stand up and reach for their bag. The result is an office full of people who have finished their actual work sitting at their desks, watching the clock, doing personal tasks, browsing the internet, or, in some documented cases, sleeping at their desk, because sleeping at your desk in Japan is sometimes interpreted as evidence that you worked so hard you exhausted yourself, rather than as a performance problem. Some of those people sitting at their desks during extended work hours are taking online English classes. This is not a joke. It is a real pattern that ESL tutors who work with Japanese students recognize. Students who book lessons during what should be standard working hours, or late in the evening from what is clearly an office environment, are often using that dead time productively in a way that the company does not officially sanction, but also does not actively prevent because everyone is doing something similar. The difference is that the student taking an English class is investing in a skill that they hope will help them eventually move into an international company or a role with a different work culture, which brings us to the next important reality. A growing number of Japanese workers, particularly younger ones, do not actually want to be in a traditional Japanese company long-term. The lifetime employment model that defined Japanese corporate culture for decades has been losing its appeal, especially among people in their 20s and 30s who watched their parents give everything to companies that eventually restructured, downsized, or simply failed to provide the stability that was promised in return for that sacrifice. What many younger Japanese workers want now is international experience, English fluency, exposure to different management styles, and ultimately the ability to work in an environment where performance matters more than seniority and where personal life is not expected to be permanently subordinated to the company's schedule. The English class they are taking during dead office hours is part of that plan. They are not slacking, they are quietly building an exit strategy. For foreign workers entering Japanese companies, understanding all of this in advance changes what you should realistically expect from the experience. First, do not arrive expecting a meritocracy. In most traditional Japanese companies, the path to promotion and recognition runs through tenure and relationship building, not through output and innovation alone. Your excellent work will be noticed, but it will not automatically translate into advancement at the speed you might expect in a Western company. Second, do not let the culture of visible presence pressure you into performing overwork that does not serve you. Staying late because everyone else is staying late in an office where most people have stopped doing actual work hours ago does not make you more effective. It makes you more tired. Learning to distinguish between genuine professional expectations and social performance is one of the most important skills a foreign worker in Japan can develop. Third, and this is particularly important for foreign workers to hear clearly, the promotion ceiling for non-Japanese employees in traditional Japanese companies is real, and it is lower than the one for Japanese employees. Companies in Japan, particularly older and more traditional ones, have historically prioritized promoting Japanese employees, and within that group, senior Japanese employees, over foreign workers regardless of performance. This is not always explicitly stated. It is often communicated through the kinds of indirect signals that Japanese workplace culture specializes in, being left out of certain meetings, being given roles that are visible but not influential, receiving positive feedback without concrete advancement. Going into a Japanese workplace with clear and realistic expectations about this dynamic does not mean accepting it as permanent. It means you are not blindsided by it, and you can make informed decisions about your career trajectory accordingly. Fourth, find your own pace and protect it. The visible busyness of a Japanese office is not always a reflection of actual productivity, and the pressure to match it, to stay as late, to appear as constantly occupied, to never be seen as someone who is not giving everything, can drain a foreign worker in ways that have nothing to do with the actual demands of the job. You are not in Japan to perform Japanese work culture. You are there to do good work, develop skills, build experience, and make decisions about your future based on what actually serves you. Those are different goals from the ones the social environment around you might be optimizing for, and keeping that distinction clear is what allows you to leave the experience stronger rather than exhausted. Japan is a genuinely interesting and often rewarding place to work. The professionalism, the attention to quality, and the organizational discipline of Japanese workplaces are real, and they're valuable things to experience. But the myth of the universally hardworking Japanese workforce, the meritocratic corporate ladder, and the meaningful reward waiting at the end of years of visible dedication deserves to be set aside in favor of something more honest, a clear-eyed understanding of a complex, changing, and genuinely human workplace culture that contains both impressive strengths and significant contradictions, just like every other workplace culture in the world. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful or relatable, please subscribe to join my journey toward 2,000 videos. On this channel, I share unfiltered ESL stories, yes, even the toxic ones, alongside Japanese and Korean language tips, my plants, my pets, and the reality of solo living. If you'd like to support my work and help me build my retirement fund, you can buy a treat for my pets via the link in the description below. Every bit of support helps keep this channel independent and growing. See you in the next one.